What's going on? Welcome to the ALL-iN podcast. It's your boy Bird, aka Birdwater. Real name is Joseph. Man, this is long overdue. Long overdue. You see this sign right here? I've had this for like 5 years maybe, and I had this idea so long ago that I wanted to start a podcast and call it the ALL-iN podcast, where I'm able to just speak on anything and everything and just talk about like things openly and not be hesitant or not, watch what I say type shit. But yeah, welcome to the pod. It's kind of excited. I was excited to do this. Literally, like, think about it. Like 5 years I've been thinking about this, and today is the day that we finally start this. Shout out to my boy Mac. He's behind the camera. He's also gonna be the producer of everything you guys see, all the content, all that shit. Shout out to AMG sponsor. You already know what it is. Almighty Gas. Make sure you guys follow both pages, the ALL-iN podcast, Almighty Gas page. Check us out. But yeah, like, I know normally podcasts are maybe one or two or three people. Throughout this like podcast, or not today specifically, but moving forward, like, there's gonna be episodes where you see a guest, my co-host. Shout out to Slim. He's gonna be my co-host. And you're going to see a bunch of my friends hop on. You're going to see a bunch of different guests. And I'm just going to change it up. But my main thing is just like being different. And that's why I wanted to start off the first episode and let you guys see who's behind the podcast and the reason behind ALL-iN podcast. And that's me, my story, my journey. A while ago, maybe like 7-8 years ago, around that time, I was in a fitness journey. I was actually YouTubing. I was doing vlogs. And at the end of every vlog, I would talk about something so serious, or something that I felt that day, or something that happened that made me feel a type of way, or think about certain things, because I'm like a really, really deep thinker. And that whole, time where I was doing those vlogs and really ending every vlog with like just me talking about something, that's what kind of really inspired me to want to start this pod like this. Because at the end of the day, it's like my goal is to share something with you guys, whether if it's, positivity, struggles, entrepreneurship, advice, yada, yada, yada. Like, I want you guys to really feel where I'm coming from, and, why I'm here doing this. And the whole goal behind this is just to really have like impactful podcasts. I feel like I just could talk. I like to talk, basically, and I like to have deep conversations. And, when it comes to a podcast, I feel like that's what a podcast should be. Really interesting conversations, whether if it's positive, whether if it's deep, or whatever it may be. But, the ALL-iN podcast is that you're going to get everything. You're going to get a little bit of everything. And, hopefully moving forward, even my guests understand that, and no one holds back, whether if it's being vulnerable, whether if it's telling a crazy story or whatever. And, from feelings to mindset to all of that, like, that's my goal with the ALL-iN podcast, not holding back on nothing, and just being all in and being ready to speak and express whatever people or whatever I want to talk about. Nowadays a podcast is like, there's so many different things. You got talk shows, you got, you got like deep convo podcasts, you have like money podcasts, hip hop podcasts, all that. It's like you might get a little bit of all that with me, basically. And if you're curious where like the name ALL-iN podcast came from, if you zoom in on my shirt, this is my other clothing brand, or my only clothing brand. It's called ALL-iN Lifestyle. I started this a while ago too. And the reason why like you see ALL-iN is because like when I was starting like my whole entrepreneur lifestyle or journey, I was also in fitness. And, I feel like when you make that decision of chasing an entrepreneur lifestyle, you have to be willing to do whatever it takes, willing to sacrifice everything, and just put your goals and your dreams as number one priority ahead of everything. And I used to tell myself like, yo, no matter what happens, like, I'm all in. Like, I would have so much fucking shit going on, and you deal with this speed bump, and I would just always tell myself like, don't quit, like let's keep going, like you're all in, remember, like. So I would always tell myself, you're all in, you're all in. So that's why I also have a clothing brand, and I knew the podcast would be called All In as well. And honestly, like that whole meaning behind that was like my own little like expression or saying I would tell myself to like remind myself what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. And it's so much beneath that and under that that it's like a lot. But I used to tell myself that so much, and it's really like I feel like for anyone that's working hard towards something, you have to have something in your head, or you have to be so self motivated and determined that you have to remind yourself what you're doing and why you're doing it for. And the whole term all in lifestyle, all in podcast is I guess I would say a resemblance of how I live my life and how my mindset is. And I talk to so many people a lot, and a lot of people have goals and are very ambitious and stuff, but they don't really have something to remind them or give them that pat on the back or like that jolt of energy or change of mindset to go get something. And that's why I always tell myself I'm all in. And being all in, you're not gonna fail. Like you're gonna literally go through anything, whether if it's hell and back, and just keep moving forward. And I hope you guys understand that, and I hope you guys kind of get a better idea of why, the whole all in term or saying is so important to me. And hopefully you guys could see something out of that and, make it about yourself and, use it as a way to encourage yourself and, push yourself mentally and physically to go get something bigger than what you're doing now. And, that's just what it's about. But yeah, you guys, so today this is episode 1. This is episode 1, and this is really where I break down what, this whole mission is, I guess I would say, with this podcast. It's really to relate with you guys, and, I have a lot to talk about. Like every day I'm going through shit. Like I've gone through so much shit in my younger age or my younger part of my life, and where I'm at now, like it's a blessing, like that's what I mean. Like I want to be able to have these conversations with you guys, my guests, my host, whoever, and just really get to know whoever's around me. I want you guys to get to know me and really be able to let you guys relate to what I'm talking about and what my guests and hosts are talking about, because I feel like if I'm able to have that type of inspiration or impact on you guys, like this podcast could do really well. And that's my goal at the end of the day. It's really nothing more than that. And I just want to talk, basically. So yeah, you guys, like, if there's any of you guys out there right now, like, that are watching this video and listening in, like, I appreciate your time. And just one thing out of what I just said is just know, like, set high standards for yourself, set high goals for yourself, and just understand, like, with success there's a lot of failures, and you guys have to understand that. And the second you guys get that mindset to where you're accepting the fact that you're gonna fail more than you're gonna succeed, you're gonna win. You're gonna keep winning. And moving forward, like, let's talk about me, 34 years old, a father, based out of California, Los Angeles to be specific. And what I do now is a lot of things. I do a lot of things, and life is crazy. Like, growing up, like, I didn't know what I wanted to do in high school. Like, I just knew I wanted money, because I didn't grow up with money. Me and my family, we didn't have money growing up. So, I just knew growing up I wanted to have money as I got older. So I always wanted to work and work and work. And the thing is, in the beginning, like, you don't really think about the whole process of tax and, working for people and, what an entrepreneur is. Like, when I was in high school and college, I didn't even think not once about being an entrepreneur, being my own boss, or, looking for jobs that were high six-figure jobs, or, jobs that could lead me to making a millionaire or become a millionaire. There's not many jobs out there, 9 to 5s, or jobs that you go to college for, that will lead you to be a millionaire. Like I feel like maybe high end plastic surgeons or people like that maybe, or really successful lawyers maybe. But like I don't know, I was just raised on like simple minded meant to have a simple minded mentality and just really to survive. That was my main thing growing up. And so, you know, going into my early 20s, I was trying to be a cop, and then I had like a moment where like I realized that wasn't gonna be no money. Like 50, 60,000 a year ain't shit, especially because I started to have like this mindset of like thinking deep about everything and analyzing everything. And a lot of times, like I realize a lot of people don't really even understand that. It just goes past their head. But my point is like I became a really deep thinker to the point where I had issues sleeping because I couldn't shut it off. And it's a good but a very bad thing, but I love the good more than how bad it is, like the negative effects of not sleeping a lot. But like it just made me realize how determined and ambitious I was. Um and I realized because I kept thinking like that, like I have to do something. I just didn't let those thoughts just be a thought. And then I used to work a 9 to 5 job, wake up at 4:30, start work at 6, get off at 6, and I did that for like 4.5 years, my mid 20s, and around like 26, 27, that was when I was like, I'm not gonna be a cop. I don't want to work this job anymore, and it's time to go take a leap. And from there, literally going into 27, like I was literally on my own, literally struggling check to check type shit, like yeah, I used to do a lot of shit, and like it was all worth it. And when I started to figure out like I could be an entrepreneur and believe in myself, like that's when I knew like I had to be so locked in, I had to be so all in. And yeah, like I looking back at it, like I love every struggle that I've been through. And now I'm not a cop. Now I don't work for anyone. I work for myself. Involved in the cannabis industry, and I do a bunch of other stuff, and it's like a blessing. It's a blessing that I guess I would say I didn't settle for something, because I feel like this society that we're in nowadays doesn't really teach you about entrepreneurship. They just teach you about going to school and the laws and uh, finding a great 9 to 5 to take care of your family and shit like that. But they don't really teach you about risk. And I feel like I take so many risks, and I feel like every entrepreneur takes so many risks. And that's the thing. Like, if you're not willing to take a risk or put something on a line or sacrifice something, you're not going to survive. You're not going to last. Like, it's just going to be such a short moment where you're going after something, but little do you know, like you're starting something that's not going to finish anywhere besides wasting your time, and if you're not willing to risk anything, and you're not willing to sacrifice anything, like you might want to rethink what you want to do in life, because a lot of people, which we need nowadays, are so fine, working a 9 to 5, and we need those fucking people in this world. But me personally, growing up and seeing all my family and everyone work check to check, I couldn't do it. And I don't know if how that sounds to you guys, but like, I want to be a fucking multi-millionaire one day, and that's what I'm working towards right now. Like, I've probably made, and I'm not saying this to like talk like, oh, I told you guys I'm gonna be so blunt. I probably made $1 million in the last 6, 7 years, but I was so stupid with my money that I don't have nothing. I have some stuff to show for it, but I don't have much to show for it. Like I'm doing really good for myself, and looking back, this whole entrepreneur lifestyle, like that's just what it is. Like, it's a fucking roller coaster. It's the stock market. Like, it's the perfect way to reference something, or being an entrepreneur is like the stock market. Like, you're gonna be up, but you're going to be down longer than you're going to be up. But when you're up, you're really up. And what I learned growing up and moving forward as I started to get money is save your fucking money or invest your fucking money, I would suggest invest your money, but, that's part of something too. Like, to be very fucking blunt with you guys, like, when I started making a lot of money, I was fucking blowing a lot of money. Like, blowing a lot of fucking money, and a lot of my friends and people I met along the ways can contest to that. And you know, during that moment of time, I used to like tell myself, and I used to realize and tell myself, yo, you're fucking blowing money, and you're fucking, I'm dumb, I'm dumb. But then I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm living right now. I'm in the moment right now. Like, yeah, in the moment, like the outside looking in, people would be like, yo, you're dumb. Like, why you spend this amount of money every month on this or that? But in the moment, I was like, yo, I've worked so hard to get where I'm at that I'm gonna fucking choose how I want to spend my money, whether if it's to other people's perspective stupid or not. But I just know like I'm such a hard worker that I'm gonna make it back. I'm gonna make it back, and that's the type of mindset I've always had, and it happens, it happened, and I won't let myself get back to how bad I used to be when I was in my early 20s, and I fucking, I don't know how I haven't cracked or why I haven't given up. Or I know why I haven't given up. I haven't given up because I've been so fucking down in my life that giving up is just not an option. And because I've been able to endure so much struggles and failures, like it's only made me stronger mentally. And I feel like my mental toughness is the key in who I am and why I'm at where I'm at. And that's why I'm here doing this fucking pod. I want to talk to you guys. I want people to look at me and be like, damn, like, I'm fucking letting it all out type shit. But yeah, you guys, like, so moving forward, like my goal nowadays as a 34-year-old father living in California is literally to make money, create other businesses, network, you know what I mean? Like, not in specific order, but, right now I'm basically working on stuff to really solidify my future as well as, my kids' future. But at the same time, like, now it's about, like, not making the same mistakes I did when I was getting money. Now that, I had that part and it's out the door, like, it's now about making better choices, using my time more wisely and making my time more worth it, if that makes sense, and not splurging. I do have the urge every now and then to go out, but that's one thing I stopped. Like, I don't really go out anymore. The reason why I don't really go out anymore is because this city, LA city, the nightlife, being outside is just very contagious. You get caught up in that lifestyle, especially if like, if you got money and you're in LA and you know the right people, you can have such a great fucking time in LA that you get so caught up in it to where you just kind of like, not forget, but you kind of just like lose focus. And I can admit that I did that, and for a long period of time, like, and now I'm like, at a point where it's like, okay, boom, like I'm a pop out, I'm gonna go out every now and then, but it's for a specific reason, whether if it's like a celebration or a birthday or some shit, like, rather than going out 2 or 3 times a week, I just don't care about that anymore because, my priorities are different nowadays. Like, one of my biggest priorities right now is just to be more present being a father. Like, a lot of people don't even know I'm a dad because I don't post my personal life on social media. Obviously, on this podcast is a social media platform. I'm gonna speak on it, but it's like you really got to tune in to know. But on social media, I don't really expose my personal life, like, not like a lot of people, and I feel like that's a lot more security. And I like to be a little private. Like, I don't like to let people know of everything that's going on in my life because people pay attention. Like, look at social media like television, and I feel like it's healthy to be able to have a certain balance with social media and your personal life and keep certain things separate. And me personally, like, I've always been like this, and I'm always gonna be like that, like, always. I've always felt like, excuse me, I've been having tequila. I've always felt like I'm gonna make a personal page at some point, but at the moment, it's not even that important because the loved ones, my people close to me, like, they know who they are. I really am good at expressing, like, my love or my energy towards people I fuck with type shit. But social media is just something that could really fucking affect a lot of people's lives. And I've always told myself, like, don't fall into the trap of trying to pretend or trying to portray an image that's not really that. And that's why I don't share too much on social media, but I use it as a tool because I'm not dumb. Like, at the end of the day, like, when you're networking and you're in the line of work that I'm in, like, sometimes a face is a key, or a face is like a key card, if that makes any sense. Um, and yeah, sometimes social media is such a plus, especially being an entrepreneur. You guys got to understand that. I feel like almost any business nowadays applies social media to their business, and if you don't, you're living in an old age and you're gonna struggle. I feel like nowadays we're in this time where a lot of people have to, like, pretend or fake it till you make it, and I just never, like, wanted to do that. Like, I've always wanted to stay true and stay humble and always remember where I came from, and like, all that stuff. And that's why I say, like, social media has such a major impact. But yeah, like, now my focus is just really just focus on maximizing my time, doing stuff or business ventures that really make sense, and then at the same time, applying my money other ways other than the clubs and stuff like that. And I feel like that's part of me maturing. And like I said a little bit ago, like, I'm a father now, so it's not about me anymore. I can't just be blowing my money at the clubs or other places and not understanding, like, that there's someone else I have to look after that's depending on me. And I feel like that's really changed. And ever since I became a dad, like, I love it. Like, I'm a different person now. Like, I'm the same, but I'm different. I'm more hesitant to do certain things. I think things even more deeper than what I have already said. And, my choices and my decisions, like, I guess reflect me. So I guess I would say. And yeah, and it's like, I don't know. I don't really talk about being a father, but I love it. Like, being a dad has changed me, and I'm able to enjoy life differently through my son, and it's just different nowadays. And so now, like, I want to work even harder, and I want to just do whatever it takes to make sure that I'm always there and able to sacrifice. And I mean, able to provide. I'm sorry, able to provide, and also too, like, I want to make sure I make better choices in life. That's also what has changed me recently. Like, you get caught, like I said, you get caught up in this fucking LA life, and you think other stuff is more important, but it's really not. Like, so it's like lately, the last year or so, I've been really, like, revamping my mindset, my lifestyle, like, everything that, like, can have a slight or a big effect on my life, basically, whether if it's like the people around me or, like, what I do, whatever, on personal time or whatever it is you would say. But yeah, like, that's just what I'm on right now. And now I'm like, I feel like I'm refocused. I feel like this last year, or since this year started, I'm refocused. I'm recharged, and I'm going after as bigger shit as I could possible. And I'm growing too. Like, a big thing of mine is, like, growing with people I fuck with, like, doing business with people I fuck with, you know what I mean? And making money with people I fuck with. And you guys are going to see, because in this podcast, like, we're going to talk with my friends, we're going to talk with my business partners, we're going to talk with people that's been around me from the start, basically. And you guys are going to see that it's really real what I'm saying, and not just something I'm making up in the spot. And it's very natural and real. But yeah, you guys, moving forward, like, if there's anything I could say to you guys, is just, always be able to check yourself. Always be able to have a moment where you can think about everything you're doing in the current moment stage, and just, check yourself, challenge yourself, have that conversation with yourself and see, is everything what you're doing at the moment important or not important? Are you fucking around, or are you maximizing your time? And Yeah, like, I mean, speaking of time, like, I wanted to do this fucking pod 5 years ago by myself because I knew, like, when you talk with people, like, that other person is, like, that other person can be very outspoken or dominant or, so it's like, each individual is different. So it's like when you're talking with someone or you have another person on that pod, it's like, you know, there's so much time that you're trying to share that you can't really break everything down. And that's why I wanted to do it this way. And this is how I started thinking about it. And since I started the pod, and what's crazy is like the fact that I wanted to do this 5 years, but it wasn't time. Like, when 5 years ago, when I was starting to see success and money, I wanted to do everything. I felt like I'm about to do so well in life. Like, I could do everything. And you get so ahead that you don't realize you got to focus on one thing at a time. One thing at a time. And when that is straight, then you move on to the next thing. There's nothing wrong with putting something to the side for the moment and prioritizing something that's more important in the moment. If that makes any sense. And, looking back at it, and right before this episode started, I was looking at this fucking sign and I was like, damn, like, about fucking time. But then I also, as me being mature, is realizing timing is everything. Nothing's ever going to go according to plan. Nothing's ever going to really pan out when you think it should pan out or whatever you visualize. Just never going to work like that, because that's what life is. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to challenge you. It's going to throw you off, but it's up to you, your mind, to get you back on track, to get where you decided or where your goal was or what you dreamt of type shit. And I'm so happy that I'm able to do this now and start it now. And it's not a race. It's a marathon, and I know there's a lot of podcasts out here, and I watch so many podcasts, but I just feel like my conversations, how real I'm going to be, how crazy I'm going to say some shit, my crazy stories or whatever it may be. I'm going to also bring that out of my host or my guest, and it's all going to be something where it's like, dang, that was fucking real. You know what I mean? Like, these people aren't holding back, and that's just what it's going to be. And, moving forward, you guys don't ever try to plan anything. I mean, I'm sorry, don't ever try to give yourself a time frame. Just in your head realize, like, you're gonna have to go through a lot of shit. You're gonna have to work really hard. You're gonna have to, like, fuck up so many times. Just know what's more important in the moment. Focus on that, and from there move forward one step at a time. And shit should happen better, more than likely, than you fucking up or you wasting your time or failing. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, you guys, hopefully you guys like this episode. I know it wasn't really like a straight direction of what this was supposed to be, but in my head, my goal with this was just kind of break down what my goal is with this podcast, this YouTube channel, and, also let you guys get to know me and see how I think and give you a preview of where my mindset is at, and, how I talk and how I want to express things and how open I want to be. And hopefully my goal to have a major impact with this platform and this YouTube channel works out. And I feel like it will, because that's what I'm going to work towards. And that's what I'm going to give you guys. Real shit. No bullshit at all. And I feel like you guys are going to fuck with it. And hopefully you guys do. And I want to hear you guys' feedback. I want to know if you guys want me to dive into something deeper. I want to know if you guys have a specific question about what I brought up or what you guys would like me to answer. Like, I don't mind. I'm gonna keep it real with you guys, and I'm gonna answer as best as I could and give you guys the best content / conversations as possible, and make sure that you guys always tune in because of the conversations that are brought up and spoke about. So hopefully you guys like this episode. Hopefully you guys tune in for the next one. My goal is to do this, like, me personally, 1 out of 3 to 1 out of 4 episodes is solely going to be me, because sometimes I want to talk about something deep, or sometimes I want to talk about any good things going on or any struggles that I'm going through, whatever. Or sometimes I just want to weigh in on something. But, 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4 episodes, you're going to get me by myself. And I feel like me doing that is different. And that's my goal with this podcast as well, to be a little different and to stand out. And then also, too, like, I'm going to be consistent with this. Me and Mac are going to work on dropping 2 episodes a week. Right now, we're going to focus on getting a few videos in the vault before we start dropping. But this episode should probably drop in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And I have some guests lined up, and it's going to be such a variety of guests. So to where I can really be able to talk about so many different things that's not really talked about, or that's kind of like not spoken as much. And that's what I intend to do, is just have, whether if it's deep conversations, uncomfortable conversations, like I just want to have good conversations. I just want to keep it real and be very, very, very like 100 about everything. So make sure you guys like this video, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video. My name is Joe, aka Bird. Peace. Last thing. Something I want to do before this episode ends, or any other episode ends, is kind of drop something that I love to say, or that something that makes me feel type of way. And what it is I have it on my ALL-iN business page, Instagram bio. But the moment you give up is the moment you let someone else win. Be all in.